Okay, gravy. Let's make some nice country cream gravy. You're going to start with your skillet on medium heat, and what I've got here is the fat from the pan when I made chicken fried steak. I removed all of the fat, but about 3 tablespoons. When you're making a gravy, it's basically like making a white sauce or a roux, any of those things. You're going to add an equal amount of flour to your fat, and you need to brown that flour off so that it doesn't have an uncooked taste. Okay, that's enough right there. And let me just show you kind of what that flour and fat mixture looks like when you get it stirred together, because there's a definite consistency that you want to look for. Not too much flour, but not too little. Okay, this blends it all in. You also need to season this at this point. Okay, I'm adding a big pinch of salt, maybe a couple, and then just a little bit of some black pepper. You can add as much or as little black pepper as you like. If you like really spicy gravy, put some white pepper in that, because that has a lot more of a heat kind of a flavor. We're going to let this cook, and you can see that it's browning right now, but by the time you add the milk, it's going to get a much lighter color. I'm actually going to add just a tad bit more flour here, because I want to make sure that's enough. So you've got to let this flour and fat cook off for at least a couple of minutes to remove the flour taste. The darker you want your gravy or cream sauce or whatever you're making to be, the longer time you need to cook your flour. This would be the same way to make a white sauce. You'd mix fat, flour with milk or cream. It's also the start of any kind of your Cajun cooking that calls for a roux, except of course there you'd cook it much, much longer. Okay, I've let this go for several minutes, and you can see how brown this fat and flour is. We've got a pretty dark brown roux, but I want you to see what happens once I add the milk. Now, there are a couple of keys to getting a lump-free gravy. The first is going to be to make sure that your fat and flour are well incorporated. The next one is going to be to continually stir as you add your liquid, and also if your liquid is warm, it's going to incorporate much better and be much easier to get a lump-free gravy. So I've heated my milk up a little bit, and I'm just going to pour it into the skillet slowly while I continue to stir. Now you see how much that lightens up the gravy? I don't have a real dark gravy anymore, just a kind of a light brown gravy, and that's exactly what we're going for. Again, we've seasoned that fat and that flour really well, and we're using the drippings from the chicken fried steak, so that gives us a nice flavor. Continue to stir this constantly until it thickens to the point that you want it to. You can see that's starting to bubble a little bit too much, so I'm going to pull it up off the heat and turn the heat down a bit. Again, I've got an electric stove I'm working with here, and so it takes a minute for that heat to reduce, so I'm going to pull it off. Okay, I'm stirring the sides, trying to keep those lumps out of the gravy, and you can already see it's starting to thicken. Okay, this light bubbling, that's what we want it to do, not boil over like it was a minute ago. Okay, so we've turned it down, we've got a nice heat, and we'll just stir that till it gets as thick as we want. It shouldn't take too awful long. You don't want it to be like pudding, of course, but just a nice sort of medium thick gravy. This is going to be a lovely meal. Now you can use this same idea to make something like a sausage gravy. Just brown your sausage, crumble it up in your skillet, and then use the drippings from cooking the sausage in to flavor it, and then just continue. You can take the sausage out or leave it in the skillet before you add your flour, less salt and pepper because the sausage is highly seasoned. Again, cook the flour off in the sausage drippings until it comes to a nice brown color. Then add your warmed up milk, and then you've got a sausage gravy, which for us makes a nice breakfast meal or a quick breakfast for dinner meal when there's not a lot of time to cook. Okay, this is nice and thick. I'm liking it like that. It will thicken just a little bit after you take it off the heat. So I'm going to just remove that from the heat. Let me bring my bowl over here so I can pour it up for you so you can see what it looks like. Okay. That's a great consistency. If you've never made gravy before, I hope this little tutorial helped you, and I hope you'll give it a try. There's really nothing to lose if you do this. A little bit of milk, fat, and flour. Give it a try. You'll enjoy it.